So, I've never been one for political violence. I must admit, I've always wanted to put good faith in people and to put good faith in humanity. To come together and debate and come up with good solutions to things like taxes and abortion and human rights and which wars we should get involved with. But you know, uh, there's one thing that I've never really been a fan of, and that's us having to you know um escalate to the violence and war, because we can't come together and agree on things like basic human rights and dignity. And the culture in this nation, which has been degrading, I would say arguably since the first Trump term, is it's almost all on the part of the Republicans and the vitriol that they've been spewing against immigrants and black people and the LGBT community. And of course, there has been some terrorist attacks from the far left, and I guess what you would call Antifa. And there's been some mass shooters linked to possibly Twitter ideology from the left, like Marxism, Leninism, or something. And they always have crazy, incoherent shit painted on their guns that indicates inconclusive ideologies and motivations. But one thing's for sure, and that's that an overwhelming majority of terrorism and shootings has been by white males who describe to fascist ideologies, usually not on the left. And ironically, the thing that they were debating right before Charlie Kirk was murdered was about trans people's involvement with mass shootings at times. And I will say generally that when a certain group or minority is being persecuted, some individuals, that group will commit terrorism, or at least some individuals from that group will commit terrorism more than before because they believe that it's, the last straw. Of course, some will go too far that the one motherfucker attacked children, which is absolutely indefensible. And who knows if the person who killed Charlie Kirk is trans. I doubt it. They have someone in custody who looks like another white guy, another normal white guy. But yeah, this is the culture that they created for themselves, and time again, they don't want to sleep in the beds they made for themselves. They'll always resort to cry bullying and saying this is the radical left. They did this to us, this Marxist, Leninist ideology. Stuff is right after, we don't even know who fucking shot the guy, and soon afterwards, Trump made a statement blaming the radical left, as if that means anything, on the shooting. When here, many of these mass shooters that turn out to be Republicans, are killing other Republicans because of infighting, because one of them disagrees with the stance on Israel. They're on the other side of the Israel debate, which is the most common one, I'd say, or they're on the other side of the Jews, or they're on the other side of the Epstein, maybe. Don't know. Yeah. But these people who are now crying for kumbaya and for us all to get together and hold hands and pray for Charlie Kirk. It's really rich because, just me as a trans person online, I can't even explain how many times I would just be responding to some random person about an anime character or something, and then a fucking Charlie Kirk follower will respond with a caricature of a dead trans person, a bearded caricature of a trans person hanging. Some says, true and 41%, haha, funny. And they'll repost memes of this trans girl who committed suicide by jumping off of a bridge, and the most evil shit that me. And then I said, those same people now, no, or I said, how dare you? How dare you, like, not want to empathize with this man who called for the eradication of groups from society? He said that George Floyd, he tried to blame George Floyd's death on fentanyl, after we had already come to an a resounding conclusion that it was murder on Derek Chauvin's part. He mocked the Paul Pelosi's attack, suggesting that we should, pay for the bail of the guy who attacked him. When discussing trans people in sports, he basically implied that, they should be lynched, because this is how we used to handle things back in the 1950s. And the crazy thing is the pussy actually tried to walk it back, instead of owning it, when it was just very obvious that's what he meant, and all of his followers knew that's what he meant, and they probably want that. We know that they want that, and they'll only say it under isolated conditions, such as under my or other small-time trains and people's posts on Twitter. He once said that empathy is a made-up New Age term that does a lot of damage. Yeah. And then he also said that gun deaths are a necessary sacrifice for the Second Amendment, and of course wouldn't apply the same standards to trans people because of, the made-up assumptions that gender dysphoria should be a disqualifying mental illness. And it's not like it really matters if gender dysphoria is a severe enough mental illness that it should be disqualifying, but it's just so blatant that it's the fact they want to disarm groups of people that they want to commit genocide against. And I'm actually pro-Second Amendment for the most part, but the funny thing is, he didn't even have to say that at all, because it's not about whether gun deaths are a necessary evil for the Second Amendment and our freedom, but that a responsibly armed population is safer than an irresponsibly armed population and a disarmed population. So it's not about that it's a necessary evil. I would actually say that guns are good for a country and peoples when it's handled responsibly. Anyway, my next point. Time again, these people have stoked division and hatred, and they clutch their pearls every time something happens to one of their own. So they don't learn and grow as people, that they never extrapolate, the right things we're supposed to take from it. They don't want to talk about, gun regulations after the fact, unless it strains people. They don't want to talk about the way they treated, Paul Pelosi and, victims of right-wing violence as their own. And they don't want to sleep in the bed they made for themselves. If I had $1 for every time a Charlie Kirk follower responded to me on Twitter or said some disgusting thing to me about my identity on a completely irrelevant topic, then I would have enough money to buy the United States and fix the culture that has become of it. And I'm fucking done with the civility politics, because we're not seeing change. Things are getting worse. They're clearly escalating their rhetoric. And I just can't see this as anything other than, another case of Luigi Mangione. Like, if you're someone with money and power and privilege, you should seek to live your life as someone who would be remembered as a person who fought for the oppressed, like Jesus, like the real Jesus, not the Pharisee Jesus that the MAGA movement is propagating. Not as an oppressor who was perhaps, unjustly killed in spite of being a bad person. And sure, if you really want to, pray for this motherfucker. Pray for the motherfucker and his blackened soul. But I would urge people to pray harder for the 3 children who were murdered in Colorado high school the same day, of which there was no a moment of silence from the White House about it. And yeah, I would pray for the people who have been victimized by the ideology that he's propagated around America. Pray for the blacks and Hispanics who lost their lives to police brutality. Pray for the trans people who were bullied into suicide by his ilk. Pray to the Palestinians who are having their identity completely erased from the planet, who him and his ilk support genocide against. Pray for Charlie Kirk's children to hopefully grow up and become good people and get away from this hateful movement. And pray for those who have not dedicated their lives to profit off of the suffering of others. And if you want to pray for people, pray for those